Hello and welcome everyone to another SSCAIT broadcast. Today I will be your host, Chobo Swaggins, aka Jealous on Team Liquid. We'll be going over recommended replays from the SSCAIT Discord, and this week we have a good mix of AI versus AI games and human versus AI games from the Schnell ladder. This has given us a good opportunity to examine one particular matchup, which is Terran vs Protoss against Stardust, from both the AI and human perspectives. We can take a look at what one does better and what the other one does better and which proves to be more effective. I also zoomed in a bit more to the screen compared to previous broadcasts as per request, so let me know how it looks. Obviously something that we can always change. So getting right into the games, we have Stardust spawning here on the left hand side of Icarus as the purple Protoss, and they are up against Krasio, the yellow Terran, here in the north side of Icarus. And Krasio looks to be starting with a wall off at the ramp, possibly something like Siege Expand, maybe an FD. Based on what we know from Krasio, they like to play safe. They get early detection with turrets and with early comsat. Generally keep to a lower factory count, which could make it difficult to work against what we typically expect from Stardust, which is a high gateway count Dragoon composition. So let's see how it plays out. Yeah, very standard opening so far from Krasio. Scouting after the barracks. After the gas, sorry. I like the scouting timing for TVP. What you normally see for a lot of AIs is very early scouting because information is so important. So, to see a more of a, meta scout timing shows maybe the confidence that the AI has in what it's doing and the fact that it'll survive, which makes sense given the fact that Krasio plays so safe. Hello Linker Nick in the chat. So yep, going straight into a factory here, maybe a little bit further behind than you would normally expect it to be. Normally you would want to place your production facilities somewhere out here. And behind this, we do see a second gateway from Stardust. One base, two gateways, Dragoons. It's a great way to apply pressure early and deny the Terran expansion. Even with one or two siege tanks, it's very risky to move out in this way, but Icarus does have the advantage of being a very cramped space. A siege tank over here can cover most of the entryway for the natural, so it is possible to expand off of this for Krasio. Despite the 2 gateway and now 3 gateway Dragoon pressure, it'll just take a lot of finesse. The Zealot does complicate matters as well, because the Zealot can run in and stand on top of a tank. They're also very good in low numbers, against low numbers of Marines, sorry about that. There are 3 Marines and 1 tank, some SCVs being pulled preemptively to repair, perhaps a little bit too many. This is an overreaction you normally wouldn't see from human players, but siege mode is done, and it's actually going to be 2 factories, perhaps as a reaction from Krasio, maybe, or with some program knowledge / learning of just how many units Stardust builds before they get their expansion up. And speaking of getting the expansion up, the next is actually coming up quite early, a lot earlier than I anticipated, and now Krasio is officially going to be economically behind. But if there is a significant enough number of siege tanks, the Dragoon heavy build from Stardust that we're so used to seeing should struggle rather. Let's see how it plays out here. This tank doesn't seem to know where it can siege up safely. Maybe it considers this area to be vulnerable, or maybe there's just no need for it yet to move out. It is a weird army composition. Normally you wouldn't invest so many minerals into vultures or marines when you're going for this kind of approach, but in this case, I mean, now we can see the Dragoon count climbing rapidly. The supply difference is already at over 20 in favor of Stardust. That's partially because of the 2 Nexus Pro production. Of course, that's also because of the fact that they have going on now 5, 6 production facilities compared to the 2 of the Terran player. I'm just kind of curious when is that command center actually going to be placed? On the other hand, this concave is nice, but it's not going to be able to do much to fight against almost pure siege tank mass. And now we have finally the lift. Let's see how this taking of the natural goes. Seems to be going quite smoothly so far, using the range of the siege tanks to scare the concave from Stardust back. And let me know if the volume mix is quite right, because for me it sounds a little bit loud in terms of the in-game sounds, but if it's right for you guys, let me know. I just want to make sure. Let's see. So, still trying to push out and take this natural, but no command center still. There's no floating command center. There's no command center being placed. Second barracks is being made. I hypothesize that this is a reaction to this barracks being on fire. You need barracks in order to build factories, so maybe Krasio has ran into an issue before where they tried to place a factory without a barracks, so they built up a backup one already. Or maybe we'll see some ghost or medic shenanigans. That would be great. But anyway, the natural has been taken now, but this is at the point when Stardust is now at 4 bases running. And that is a significant number, especially considering the fact that they were all taken before the natural is even up for Terran. But one of the difficulties of PvT in general, and especially in the AI world where siege tanks are sieging and unsieging and inching forward at incredible speeds, the difficulty of engaging and knowing when to engage and how to engage against an established Terran army. The general rule of thumb is you don't want to attack when all the tanks are sieged up. But if this is going on, how do you apply that rule of thumb? You have to basically have a battle analyzer that gives a lot of credit to siege tanks, and so I can see why Stardust, despite being 70 supply ahead, can't engage with this. And I mean, eventually it'll come to the point where there's enough money floating where you can start justifying taking trades with just pure zealots running in, blowing up some mines, blowing up some army, and knowing the fact that you have a greater economy. That's what you can do. But up until that point, Krasio is kind of free to kind of creep forward and siege, unsiege for a very long time, and has actually snuck an SCV out for a hidden third base here. And if that goes unnoticed and unchecked, I mean, because maybe this area is now considered dangerous, so going here is, wait. In-game could be slightly lower. Let's do. Thank you. Alright, so, there's now Arbiters out for Stardust, and this is going to become relevant later, but for now, doesn't seem like there's any mobile detection. There is one turret there, a couple of scans went down, but the Dragoon soup that you see here is kind of indicative of what I was talking about. It looks like Stardust maxed out, realized that it had enough bank to cover army losses, and went to go trade with the Terran mass. But the Terran didn't lose all that much in that particular engagement. It's hard to, I guess, code for like when the decision making involved in the micro and PvT, when you run the zealots onto the siege tanks, when and where do you run through the minefield in order to optimize how you trigger the mines, so on and so forth. Those things are, I imagine, very difficult to code for. So here we go. Yeah, we see a lot of zealots went down. It seems that they automatically start attacking instead of move commanding through, which is the correct play in human PvT if you're trying to go for doing damage of some sort. So that is one thing that is currently holding Stardust back right now, and is allowing Krasio to move out and start pushing out up here and remove the threat that was pushing on this third base. This third base should never have gone up in the first place, but so Krasio gets an extremely lucky break. There is actually going for a hidden fourth base over here. That's quite interesting. But Stardust is floating a lot of money, well ahead of Krasio in all metrics right now, and I mean it's still massive. Like this is playing out in many ways very similar to a human versus human PvT. The massive amount of siege tanks, slowly pushing the Protoss army back. The Protoss trying to get enough bases to have the production necessary to compete with the single max army fighting force. The Terran's 200 out of 200 is way scarier than a Protoss 200. So it's all about taking favorable engagements when you can get them, lowering that siege tank count when you can, and obviously programming and recall is very difficult, so I imagine that that's not an option either, which further limits the options that Protoss has against Terran. And Terran straight up 200 should win almost every engagement, so let's see how this one goes. Zealots are not going to make it all the way to the siege tanks there. Again, it was a situation where I think running through could have done a lot, but slowly but surely Krasio is creeping forward and is taking more bases, has somehow managed to get away with this fourth base. And now that it's looking like something like maybe a split map scenario, I'm starting to suspect that Krasio might have this one actually in the bag. What a game. Let's see. Pushing in, yeah, I mean, alright, this production queue is geez, that's not, I'm gonna remove that for now. Pushing into the natural of Stardust is Krasio now, just sheer numbers. Should be noted that there's not a lot of gateways at the other main here. That's one way that you could keep your production going hard, but there is a fair number of gateways here. It looks like 5, 7, 13 gateways in the main base. That's a fair number. You could get up to like 18 in one base and then another 10 or so or 12 or so in another base. That would be the optimal late game PvT. But wait, in the meantime, there's something clearing out. There's something cleared out the fourth base from Krasio. Krasio, oh, but look at that mineral efficiency. I mean, Stardust had already mined out 2 full mining bases and has mined out a lot of the other 3. Meanwhile, these 2 bases still have plenty of minerals out for Krasio, and these are bases in 2 and 3. But speaking of base 3, this one might go down right now. This looks like it could be a dangerous situation now for Krasio suddenly, who's still trying to push up. It is incredibly difficult to push up safely or up a ramp against a Protoss base right here. 1 second, please. Sorry, I had to cough. And now it looks like Krasio is coming in a little bit too late, but with a lot of army. He knows he needs that third base. His money is quite low. Actually, both players on very low bank, but Krasio has a huge army advantage right now, 120 to 29. Able to both push and reclaim space at the same time. Nice Stacy's going off against these tanks, but with no army to back it up, you have to think that Krasio is going to be able to do it here, is going to be able to push up. And as push-ups, as he pushes up, there's the majority of the gateways. There's still only 5 here. That's not enough to mount an effective flank against this amount of army. Stardust just can't get that 200 supply back at any time soon. It seems it keeps hemorrhaging army little by little here and there. These and the mine coverage too, helping support this. And look at these vessels they came over here to do. Oh my God, this is sexy. I like this. This is great play from Krasio. I mean, the beginning, like, obviously, we don't know what kind of games and analyses led to this decision making where you would get such a late natural as Krasio, but the fact that it's working now is kind of like, you know, the proof is in the pudding. They clearly know better, and what it comes down to is just making sure you're safe against that early peak of high Dragoon count, because just a couple of siege tanks on the high ground is enough to hold a lot of Dragoons back, and that's, I guess, why it works so well against Stardust, who is so reliant on early Dragoons in the game, going for 3 gateways very early on, going for high nexus, low tech approach to the game, staying on one base longer in exchange for surviving for longer for Krasio seems to have made sense here. And Krasio is now, you know, just taking their half the map with impunity, and very soon I have to feel that Stardust isn't going to be able to continue. I mean, again, another base mined out by Stardust. Did have a tremendous bank at one point. It's also evidenced in the gas here, but it's just not been used. Another base mined out here, and meanwhile, Krasio just now mining out of their natural. It's as a Protoss player, it's annoying to see this, but this is how it be sometimes. A Terran on 3 base can survive for practically forever. You have to be able to engage appropriately, and that's difficult. That's all I can say. I think we can speed it up here. I think we all know what the outcome is, very much so. The Stardust is on this last base here. Supply is 1/10 of Krasio, and Krasio, very nicely done. I mean, the movement isn't human. The approach, super safe. And now it's going to be interesting to see how do humans play against Stardust, because there were 2 replays from the Schnell ladder that were recommended in the SSCAIT Discord, and those are going to be the next 2 replays. We're going to compare and contrast how Krasio plays TvP versus how humans play TvP against the same opponent. Now, it should be noted that Stardust, the version that is on the Schnell ladder, is a bit outdated. It doesn't use arbiters, but trust me when I tell you that it is still a tough nut to crack for most players that play on Schnell, and maybe most players that have ever played Wood War. Trust me, it's difficult, even without all of the extra bells and whistles that were added more recently. So just wanted to clarify that, because obviously Stardust has made a lot of improvements since then. I played a version of Stardust a couple of months ago that was made specifically for playing against a human Terran player, and that version was pretty pretty bonkers. So I'm double excited to see how humans face off against Stardust, just to see if they run into the same struggles as I do. We got Stardust spawning here in the top left of Fighting Spirit as the red Protoss, and over here in the top right we have DJ, the human Terran. Again, this is from the Schnail, which is the StarCraft and StarCraft Human and AI League. So it's a ladder system where you basically have a launcher, kind of like the Blizzard launcher, the BattleNet launcher, whatever it's called, and you basically load up a version of StarCraft that is against these AI, and it does all these setup for you. Just play. First thing to know immediately for DJ's depot placement here is that this is not Zealot tight. This is one of the things that, you know, when Fighting Spirit first came out, it was a common mistake that I, as a Protoss player, loved abusing. You just go Zealot and it goes, oh, boop, oh, sorry, you didn't make enough Marines, that's too bad. The actual placement is depot, like that. So, if Stardust were to go for a Zealot opening, that could be rough, but we know that Stardust is famous mostly for the Dragoons. Let's see how DJ stands up to this. It seems to be an approach that is going to be defensive. I do agree with walling off. If you know your opponent has a proclivity for going for 2 gateway or some sort of 3 gateway Dragoon all in or something crazy like that, walling up is the best way to hold off against it. You know, it's just unrivaled in the amount of protection it provides you with siege tank support. In the meantime, nothing surprising from Stardust either, going straight into range and Dragoons, no Zealot first, so not going to be able to take advantage of this ramp situation here. But so it's good that it pays off that way. Like, that means we might see quite a good game, but somehow I'm anticipating from this player that they are going to play very similar to how Krasio played it. And actually, there you go, I'm mistaken. It is going to be a much more standard timing siege expand if you take a look here. Command center is coming up before the first tank is even out, because that is when you can take some SCVs off gas, you can save up 400 minerals, then you can put the SCVs back on gas when you start the command center, and that should still let you get siege tank and siege mode in a relatively rapid progression, and you don't need all that many Marines in order to hold the ramp, because now your siege tank up on the high ground is going to do it. But of course the AI micro is super annoying. There's no way a human would take this engagement like this, I think. But it... yeah, that's... I mean, great play from DJ, by the way, though, to keep that tank repaired, recognizing the danger of even the high percent chance miss of shooting uphill. It was still starting to, you know, tickle this tank quite a bit. Repairing it was the right call there. Taking advantage of this ledge, this is a great ledge for taking the natural. And the command center is done. And another thing you can do when you have the command center up here is you can start making SCVs from both of them if you're not ready to take the natural. But DJ is going to spring for it. DJ is going to go for it right here. Hope maybe making a bunker, sieging up. Yes, good. Still a little bit risky at this time because there's 2 tanks on the high ground, 1 on the low. Dragoons could have still could have still dived on that, but did not. So this is something that happened to me against Stardust, is like when you wall off the ramp completely, the Dragoons kind of just default to flanking, which I did not expect when I played, and because that was the first time I full walled my natural like this, and now, yeah, so now there's a Dragoon flank. That's going to make it incredibly difficult for you to take a third base, but it seems like they do sometimes wander into the range of these siege tanks. So the siege tanks, of what's called, they take shots upon the Dragoons here and there, and they soften them up, making them easier to push through. But going up to 4 factories is DJ, and that's a bigger number than what we saw from Krasio at this point in time. Stardust just now taking their third base, still adding heavy gateways. Let's see where their tech is at. Just robotics and Citadel, no Templar archives or Stargate quite yet. But a heavy Dragoon count is being met with a heavy tank count, and as I mentioned before, lots of siege tanks equals to lots of dead Dragoons if the engagement is supposed to happen. Stardust really can't engage until it has a significant number of Zealots to accompany this, and the Zealots are just now starting to come out, timed with the Citadel and the speed, probably. Looks like the push is still on. I think I need to lower the... oh. There we go. Yeah, so this army is going to be held back by the mines, well-placed mines, by the way, and the siege tanks. Meanwhile, the vultures are going to make life a little bit more annoying for Stardust, it seems. That is the goal. Going to run in here, pick off a Zealot. No, tried to go for the mineral line, which could have been good. Didn't react quickly enough to being caught out, though. And perhaps, you know, obviously more focused on the defense in this point, because it is annoying to push against this, even with a significant amount of siege tanks, simply because of the fact that you know you're going to incur losses. And but there is no intention of taking a third base quite yet from DJ. DJ looks more intent to be getting to that fast 3-3 upgrades by going for a science facility off of 2 bases. No command center started yet. Money's being kept low. Very nice play so far from DJ, but Stardust, as expected, has the supply lead. Is taking their 4th base now, and Stardust is starting to climb up in terms of base count. This is kind of what you would expect in this matchup, even against a human. Slinker asks, Stardust doesn't have zealots on tanks, dropping on tanks implemented. I don't believe so. I don't believe I've seen it. I have seen some AIs do some form of it. I just don't remember exactly which one. I'm sorry about that, but I don't think it was Stardust, even though they do have island taking capabilities. But yeah, that is also a very difficult thing to kind of calculate and accommodate for, because you have to pick the tanks that are most likely, they're the most bare tanks, like the ones that are in the biggest clump, or the ones that are closest to a mine. You know, like there's a lot of if-thens in that discussion, and I can imagine that that is difficult to code for. And so far, I mean, Stardust has a need to, but this is a really aggressive move from DJ. It's a 2-base timing. Is this 2-1? 2-1 timing? No, 2-1 is running a little bit late, actually, I think. But this is still a very strong timing to come out. The siege tank count was incredible, and it should be noted that there shouldn't have been a timing at this point. It's simply because of the fact that all 4 bases have already kicked in for Stardust. The production should be there. It comes down to army composition and control. There was not enough zealots, and the siege tanks are pushing quite intelligently all the way into the natural of Stardust. And yeah, this is way more aggressive than I had expected to be used against Stardust. It is going to work out though, and perhaps in some ways you can think of it as being better to take out your like 1,000-handed Buddha statue of an opponent who has unlimited APM and macro and army control and perfect mining. Maybe it does make sense to take them out earlier, but I don't know, I just felt like a gutsy build from DJ, but it worked out very nicely. Great play from DJ, very heads-up player. And yeah, I mean, I think even between just these 2 games, you can already see the complete difference in approach. DJ much more confident in the way that they take their natural. They know that with a very few units they can do a lot of things consistently. That comes down to human decision making, I think, and that's something, again, that's incredibly hard to code for, is how to take your natural, how to leapfrog it properly, to set your command center up, and how to survive well, you know, off of less production than your opponent. But yeah, these Dragoons are likely to get trapped up here. I don't think I see them coming down anytime soon. They are not confident against this position, nor should they be. And I think that's going to spell doom for Stardust quite quickly here. No more mining bases for Stardust. I'm just going to speed up through the cleanup. Oh, I guess Stardust did decide, no, back up, that's my land. And then Orange comes back, it's like, no, sorry, you lost already. He's not even taking a 3rd base, actually. He's just maximizing the kill speed. Trying to get through the game as fast as possible. And yeah, very well done by our human player DJ. Banana can zealot drop, says Nico Klausner. Yes, that is the one. So moving on, we have another iteration of that same thing. We have, well, not the same thing, but we have Stardust spawning at the bottom left as the purple Protoss, and in the top right we have Sexy, the human player, spawning as the red Terran. So Benzene, map that has some features that are very interesting to abuse for Terran. The heavily high-grounded map in the middle makes pushing a little bit easier, and so is securing the additional gas bases here. This position is pretty defensible for Terrans, although it should be noted that you can't build here. That kind of makes it a little bit easier to try to deny that 3rd gas from Terran. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sexy approaches this. This does not look like a wall off, kinda. Maybe it is, but no, it does not seem to be. It looks like there's going to be a barracks in the natural, possibly going to be looking to do some sort of bunker expand, perhaps. That's why the barracks in the natural makes sense. Perhaps familiar with the fact that Stardust will generally go for that Cybernetics Dragoon play without, you know, any real chance of a zealot follow-up. But also, should be noted that this map does have a very long rush distance that leads to various rush strategies just being less effective on this map. And going up straight into a factory after a barracks, I'm quite This almost feels like AI play. And no offense, maybe I'm just not advanced enough, so I don't know why you would build the barracks and the natural if you're not going to expand with it. But I don't know. I'm confused now. All right. We'll see. We'll see what the master plan is. Stardust is adding those additional gateways now for one base Dragoon production, and there's still no bunker, which kind of worries me. I'm not sure why the barracks and the natural. Maybe it's to serve as bait for Dragoon shots. The tank is on the way. So is siege mode, I presume. Research, yes. SCVs have not been taken off gas, so that means that, oh, we are going into a second factory. So this is going to be more in line with the Krasio style play. And judging from the APM, this player does know what they're doing, but they maybe not as confident in taking a natural as our previous player, DJ. The floating racks will give vision, I guess, more ahead, but no, the barracks is flying kind of out into the middle of nowhere, and I'm wondering what that's about as well. Maybe trying to keep an eye on any units that are going through this way, but it's a little bit far out for that. Maybe just kind of needed it out of the way, moved it out of the way type ordeal. Stardust already taking its natural and is already going to be moving up to those additional gateways, it seems, as well as a forge. I still think that the addition of the forge is kind of early, but at the same time, with the lack of robotics, it does make sense just in case. But it also means that there's a limit to the amount of aggressive pressure that Stardust can do at this time, despite opening with what is essentially an aggressive build. I guess one way you can factor it is the fact that damage was already done to Sexy, and the fact that he had to go for a 2 factory opening just to take their natural. So that could be considered a small victory here at least. +1 is already spinning, so that's always a little bit nice. Third Nexus is already on the way at the third base, and it's almost done actually. So leveraging a unit number advantage into an expansion advantage is another way of making up for the fact that you went for something like 2 to 3 gate Dragoon off of one base. The Dragoons, they're not enough to bust this position, but they're certainly enough to make pushing out seem a bit scary. But as I say that, this army is getting better and better at dealing with this pure Dragoon composition. There is one Zealot out, but that's not going to be enough to change things. I saw a second one running that way as well. Yeah, against this number of Vultures, I think that it's quite tenable to start pushing out across the map. And now I see what the barracks is for. The barracks is for this gap in vision, which is really nice position for it, actually. Makes sense now why he didn't move out further, and this is going to help him. He's actually going to look to be taking even more territory already. Ran out a little bit too far forward there, but yeah, taking these bridges is a good move. Using mines on these bridges can help. The barracks might go down here. That's not good, though. You need that to build more factories. Is he going to build a second one? No, doesn't seem to be. It seems like the armories are up. No expansion yet for Sexy. Losing in 50 supply, but looks like slow and steady seems to be the way to beat Stardust right now as a Terran player, whether AI or human. As Stardust moves up to 5 base, is in a commanding position in terms of workers. 68 workers to 23 from Sexy. Sexy, I guess, factoring in the fact that if there's no intentions to expand at the moment, then there's no need to have more workers, using all of their money being funneled into macro. Does have a couple of minerals floating now, so should be considering, yep, killing that mine and placing that command center now. Taking their second base when their opponent is already up to 5. Probes patiently waiting for when the Nexus completes. But has taken a very strong position here. Despite the army supply difference, I would say that Sexy's position here is quite strong and should be able to handle an army of that size quite easily, especially given the difficult nature of navigating these bridges. Dragoons stuttering back and forth are going to make it difficult for the Zealots to run through and make use of the mines. So I don't think it's going to happen. The mineral only is being taken very soon after this natural. It's actually started before the natural even completes. So this is, I guess, a similar approach to what Stardust does, but just on a more massive scale. You know, with Stardust going for 2 or 3 gate Dragoons, a high number, and expanding twice behind that. That's exactly what Sexy did. Like 2 to 4 factories or so. The Zealots are being used to fight to destroy some mines quite nicely, but there is replacements being placed very soon after that. And again, this is a very strong concave using these bridges, and the army is starting to glitch out from Stardust. That 90k 90k APM is forcing the Dragoons to take some awful trades here. There's a lot of army being shot out without doing any damage. And yeah, these bridges just prove it to be a tactical nightmare for Stardust. Stardust doesn't know how to react. Some of that glitchiness, I'm sure, is something that the creator of Stardust has looked at since this has been played, or at least has made changes to since this upload of Stardust to the Schnell ladder. It's just always funny to look at this. They don't know where to go. They're just simply not sure of how to approach this situation, and the bridge is going to become, and I don't know how the proper way to pronounce it, abattoir, a meat grinder over here, because they're slowly but surely taking tank shots, and they're not trying to come in any other way. For example, from here or even the top bridge. And this is going to give Sexy the amount of time necessary to start climbing up in supply. The army difference is not that high, even though the supply difference is 2-to-1. And that's all based on the fact that Sexy has been maintaining a very low worker count. And this is another situation where I strongly believe that the lack of spellcaster units and the lack of a carrier transition is what's holding Stardust back. And just to remind you, that is something that Stardust has implemented in the past already, and might even be available in the nearest update to the Schnell version, I'm hoping. Come to think of it, I'm not sure if I remembered to replace the original Stardust files back on my Schnell, so I wonder if I'll be facing this version or the version that I did the show match against. But anyway, it does seem like a very slow and steady push style from Sexy. It was actually going to take a semi-sneaky bottom right base here. Looks like Stardust is not yet aware of it. Looks like it is going to be aware of it now. Maybe some Dragoons should peel off to take this down. No, it does not seem to be the case. And yeah, Stardust just seems to be absolutely struggling with this position. So great play from Stardust, demonstrating the fact that, you know, a human playing at 80 APM against 92,000 APM, if you just do the right things and abuse the right issues, you can take the W here. And yeah, I mean, despite the fact that Stardust has the majority of the map is now on 6 bases against Sexy's 4, I feel that we can almost speed up now, because I kind of already know where this is heading. We're going to get a massive Terran army at some point. Stardust may even run out of money at some point, and now that I'm looking at how long this replay goes for, yeah, it's going to be a while. Alright, let's I think we can go like this. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are fine with this, because next thing that's going to happen is there's just going to be a slow push across the map. That is a lot of freaking siege tanks. 139 army supply, only 39 workers. I guess this really highlights it, because this player is obviously at least strategically sound, but perhaps mechanically not that confident. Although peaks of like 400 when laying mines, I guess, makes sense. The first push did get squashed, and Stardust does have a lot. Oh my goodness! All right, no. Wow. All right, sorry about that. Definitely overreacted, but no, I speed it. Let's go back here. Yeah, let's see how this engagement goes. What makes the Dragoons so comfortable? There's not a single zealot here. Look, the Dragoons are like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. Nice D Matrix, nice EMP, nice play from Sexy there. The Dragoons are like, all right, you know what? Fuck it, we're going for it. And then just a couple of mines and EMPs. Oh my god, what a play! Absolute destruction. Oh jeez, yeah, that hurts. As a Protoss player, that hurts. So yeah, just very chill, very passive. That's all you need if you just take advantage of the map features. I mean, Stardust is taking the remaining bases on the map, so, but the bank has been consistently cut down. I mean, Sexy isn't even maxed yet. How many production facilities do they have? They have still the 2 factories from beginning. That's their only production facilities. No, alright, no, sorry, there's 4 factories now. But still, I mean, obviously, if you spend less money on things like factories and stuff, yeah, it takes you longer to win the game, because you can't reproduce army as fast. But if you're never losing army, I mean, that's a pretty good deal, and is going to manage to take this base as a 5th now for themselves, presumably, as the Dragoons continue to pile up here. Poor Stardust, that's all I can say. Oh, so many Dragoons going down. Oh, jeez. and this area is effectively DMZ'd. Nope, never mind. We're crossing the border. We want this base too. And so many tanks being pushed out at once. So safe with it. Nightcat, if you're watching this, this is how you want to take these high grounds. Yeah, next is going to go down. Last bit of probes is here, and I mean, Stardust is going to be mined out after this, and Sexy already has a bigger bank. He's been saving money by mining less at his natural, and is now finally maxed out with 158 army supply, and that's actually less than Stardust at this point, who has 174 army because of the lack of a need for workers. But comparing the banks, there's just no way. I mean, even if this gets cleaned up, which it won't because it's pure Dragoon. Oh, alright, I lied. Okay. But no, yeah, there's enough defense here, even with 4 factories. Jesus Christ. That was a scary amount of Dragoons to push in. Okay, I'm slowing down. This... Oh my god. What? Holy shit. Alright, well, this base is down. This base is down, but no, look at the minerals. That's all you need to know. I got excited for a moment because I guess 176 supply of Dragoons is still quite a lot and can push back a massive tank line. But it's the money. The money is the issue. And I mean, I don't think that there's enough resources here. Ooh, but maybe with this base, actually. With this base is key. If Stardust takes this base, that would be equivalent to the bank from the Terran, basically. But the Terran still has a little bit of mining left here to do. I mean, the Terran, he wants that base too. He knows that... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No, the Terran 3-3 mecha is too good. Oh, but the Dragoons run in from the back. Are you kidding me? And now suddenly the lack of production facilities... Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, but what a bad engagement from Stardust there. Oh, but maybe pushing through. Wow, what control. And now suddenly Terran has no army and no production. But that was the last of the money from Stardust. Stardust doesn't have enough money for more army. Army supply 4. Oh my god, right? What? Barely made it, and the lack of production facilities from Sexy almost cost him the game there. If that could have snowballed any more, if Stardust had another 1,000 minerals there, that could have been game over. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. I mean, yeah, no, with 9,000 minerals and with Stardust not having control of this base, Stardust would need to have both of these bases controlled for the next like 5 minutes in order to really get back into this game at minimum. But I mean, Sexy, I don't think is going to allow that to happen. Stardust even walking into a mine there, interesting. Sexy though is proven to be a quite passive player, maybe not comfortable in large army movement. Oh, but this run-in could be deadly. If all these probes go down, that is a lot of opportunity lost for Stardust. Stardust only has 28 workers, no idols anywhere else most likely, and not enough army production to be able to push this back, especially with the Dragoons still being kind of in this, being held back by these tanks in such a way that they're going to continue hemorrhaging. And no, yeah, Stardust losing this base is absolutely going to be fatal, and I think that oh geez, that should be game right here. But no, I mean, look, Stardust is coming in here to protect the workers, but Red intelligently focusing them down. 17 workers left. A lot of them are not here though. They must be on the geysers elsewhere on the map. Yeah, it seems to be the case. But gas is not what is hurting right now. Those probes should be transferred over to start mining those minerals ASAP. And actually, this base is almost mined out. And with this base not being able to be taken, yeah, I think Sexy, by the skin of their teeth, has managed to stay alive in this game. And I mean, technically, they did have more army back here, and frankly, they could just push out and win now. But I'm sure that after playing for 40 minutes, you don't want to risk it. So, yeah, I'm going to speed it back up again. I think that without any income, Stardust is not going to be able to make much of a game change here. Although this Nexus is coming up. But the Vultures and Army do show up now. Probes are going to be taken down. This Nexus is going to be down. Going down will be the game winner. Yes, GG. Well played by Sexy. Managing to hold out against Stardust on like 8 bases and secure the W. Great stuff. Well played. Yeah, now I'm going to speed up because I think Now we can safely say we know what's coming next. One mineral left in the bank. Before it was premature. I give you that. It was definitely premature. But now we'll just have to wait until Sexy decides that it's time. Yeah, 126 army supply against 20. Vulture raids, take out bases. Sorry, just taking the moment to enjoy my beer. Might as well anyway, right? Yeah, that's a lot of siege tanks, man. You can 1A, 2A, 3A with those. That is one of the most satisfying feelings in TVP is when you 1A, 2A, 3A with your unsieged siege tanks and they're pump, 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 pump. But I guess we're going to humiliate the AI with the vultures. That is going to be the play. Vultures do like 5 damage to buildings before upgrades. Maybe 4. But no, now the siege tanks arrive in mass, and that is a beautiful, beautiful army. Jesus, that looks so fun. You always feel comfortable when you have an army like that in your hands. Yeah. Alright, we're going to call it there. Enough of it for a beer break. Going on to the next game, it's going to be actually Banana Brain spawning at the bottom right as the purple Protoss up against Snail, the yellow Zerg in the top right. And it should be noted that these games were all practice games, otherwise we wouldn't see the AI's name in the game. So these were all played off of ladder. Anyone can play against any AI that is made available for practice on Snail, regardless of what your ladder rating is. And that's something that, you know, a lot of people I've seen have had fun trying to play through the different difficulties of the AI, seeing which ones do what, and I've had a lot of fun doing it. Anyway, Banana Brain is going to scout the human player on their first attempt and is going to see that it is an Overlord first opening, 12 drones, maybe 12 hatch is the order. That looks to be the case here. The probe is going to chase down the drone. If you could block that hatchery, yeah, that would be amazing if AI could use mineral walking in conjunction with perfect movement to just keep blocking this natural. That would be so nice. But Snail, quite comfortably right in the face of the probe, is going for a very late pool, and Banana Brain does react to that by getting a Nexus after Forge here. That is definitely an approach that you can take when you see that the pool is so delayed. You can actually go for a gateway and a gas at least before having to place your first cannon, and yeah, that's maybe what we're going to see. We do see the gas come up here. The cannon comes up next. Is going to play it a little bit safer. The gas comes shortly after the cannon. But no Zerglings made from Snail. This is something that you generally wouldn't want to do. You generally want to make the Zerglings at least to deny the scouts, so you can play some mind games against the Protoss, force them maybe into defensive structures that they don't need. But maybe choosing to instead focus more on the economy side of things, Snail is going to start placing down sunken colonies. Now, sunken colonies, what are they good against? They're good against ground army. What are most AI famous for doing right now? Protoss AI specifically against Zerg, making a lot of Dragoons. So going for a heavy sunken count is definitely an option for beating the Dragoon heavy composition of Zerg AI. But it looks like Banana Brain may be a little bit anxiously adding cannons, but actually, now that I look at it, there's 3 hatcheries between the main and the natural. This does look like a heavy Hydra play. There is a 4th base coming up, though, so maybe a little bit of everything, like this mixed bag kind of build. It's a little bit weird to me, but I'm not the greatest player, so maybe I just don't understand. Looks like the layer tech is up. Is that for any particular research? Maybe it looks like it was for getting... No, that was the range upgrade. I was thinking maybe it was to get early +2 range, or maybe lurkers, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And actually, we're not seeing that heavy Dragoon count that I kind of anticipated here. We are seeing a pretty standard composition, just a very late Templar archives. That is the one concerning thing about this approach. But the amount of cannons is going to help buffer against early Hydralisk counts. But again, there's not that many Hydralisks. It's kind of weird mix of economy, tech, and production here from Snail, but it's not like it hasn't worked out. I mean, the Zealot count is quite high now, though, actually, and this could be problematic. The Hydras look like they don't have speed yet. Zealot's kind of bugging out there. And now, no. Now the number of Hydras is going to be enough. Did have enough forewarning, but ooh, as I say that, this is actually a lot of Zealots running in here, and they're not even worried about the sunken colonies. They ignore that, which might be a mistake here. Good control from Schnell now. Still going to be a lot of losses. A lot of Zealots have killed a lot of drones, basically, and the standing army for Schnell isn't that great. I mean, having lost those economy, Banana Brain is now firmly ahead in the economy business. I mean, Schnell doesn't need as many workers because they are Zerg. Let's see. And there are Templar out now. Zealots are kind of holding position there. Templar are in position, hopefully getting Storm soon. Let's take a look at the research. Yeah, Storm is 33% of the way. Definitely a bit late. You wanted to invest in Templar earlier. But Dark Templar was trying to be used there by Banana Brain, but intelligently Schnell did pick off the DT while inside the Overlord sight range. And this is a great place to have an Overlord too, especially against an AI that's not making any Corsair, not being annoying. That's one of the things that perhaps is ignored because you know, distractions matter more to human beings than they do to AI at this point. You know, humans don't have unlimited APM, so if you're hunting our overlords while we're trying to fight off your army, we're more prone to make a mistake than another AI is. So maybe that is why we see less of those approaches taken, less of that build variation. But I mean, this is still a lot of Protoss army running in here. There wasn't a lot of Storm. Looks like it did take out some stuff. This Templar not feeling comfortable running in against the Sunks. And I mean, it looks like maybe the Zerg is going to hold again, but again, there was still a lot of losses. And at the same time, though, resetting your army as Protoss is not great. You want to really keep a hold of that ball. I wonder if the trades are even worth it at this point. I'm not seeing it being worth it at this point. Actually, now that some drones are going down, maybe again, I mean, the supply difference is still there. Inside workers and army count is... This must be incredibly annoying to deal with from Schnell. I mean, they do have the production, but it seems like just the economy isn't there anymore. And now with Storms following it up as well, yeah, this looks to be incredibly difficult for Schnell to hold on to at the moment as Banana Brain takes the third base in the meantime. Taking up for the bases, Schnell, but Banana Brain behind this is adding Reaver support. Reaver support is going to prove very strong against this wall here. Is going to provide a lot of support for the Templar. The Templar are kind of dancing around within sunken range, and now we have Stairs out as well. Now it's becoming a nightmare scenario for the human player. Storm's going down, but no, the Dragoons run past and snipe the Templar. I think that was actually a good trade for Schnell, but unfortunately, again, behind this, not much of an economy to speak of. 25 workers, and they're kind of, some of them are idle in different bases. Another situation that you only see in human play. And oh, beautiful Storm there from Banana Brain, correctly diagnosing where the greatest point of impact is. But the Zealot control against the Sunken still seems a bit suspect to me. This does not look like an optimal way to deal with those Sunks. I feel like if you actually just moved into those Sunks, those Sunks would be down. It's a classic case of over microing, I think, in this case. But now with the patented Banana Brain Reaver, I'm expecting great things. I think that now Schnell is in for a lot of trouble. And yeah, this is going to be brutal to watch now, I think. The Reaver is going to do great against this wall unless it drops inside the sunken range. Great control there. And just a few Scarabs is enough to completely soften up this position. I mean, behind this, we have Banana Brain now going up to 5 bases. Absolutely insane. The Hydralisk count in production is not going to be enough, and this main base has been losing drones all this time, too. It seems like maybe because they're being transferred over to the natural to make buildings. The economy is just in tatters for Schnell. I mean, there are a fair amount of drones here and here, but I don't think that's enough to come back from, especially considering the fact that Banana Brain's on 70 workers, floating over 160 supply. Yeah, this game's a wrap. This is now absolutely brutal to see. I can totally feel for this human. As a Protoss player, when Zerg players beat me, I'm like, wow, they make it look so easy. And then when I play Zerg, I'm like, wow, that Protoss player made it look so easy. This was not an easy game to play, and I do think that maybe a little bit of that lack of focus and direction that I was talking about may be the case here. You know, they didn't fully commit to a high hatchery count Hydra production. They didn't fully commit to using any sort of layer tech to their advantage. They didn't fully commit to expanding and droning up for quite some time. I mean, they kind of went for a little bit of everything, and that was good enough for a while, but eventually Banana Brain just chopping it down. Alright, well, now we can move into what will be our last game of the day. Oh, and actually, Yeah, we've already been going for quite a while. Fuck it. I already showed it to you. We might as well go. Alright, in the top right, we have Krazio spawning as the Yellow Terran. And up against it is Test, the white, I'm guessing, AI that is being tested. I don't think that this is a human player named Test. If it is, we'll find out soon enough, I guess. We should be able to determine based on the play that we see whether this is a human or an AI, but I'm guessing it's an AI. I was about to actually go double check in the comments to see, but you know, we'll figure it out. 0 APM. Did I? Was this replay not meant to be shared? Question mark. I'm looking in the wrong channel in in Discord. Nope. I have no idea. Without further ado, this is Krazio spawning in the top right as the White Terran AI. And, I mean, so far, this is kind of looking like human play to me. Actually, I don't know. It's tough. Two-hatch lair. Looking to see two-hatch Mutalisk against a fast expand, very standard fast expand. Well, not very standard actually. So the gas is quite early. Needs an engineering base soon. Well, not soon. You need to wait for the start for the spire. I think this has to be a human player, doesn't it? 200. Would they place? They placed a third hatchery and a sunken. No, that's a spire. Okay, interesting placement for a spire. That is not where I would place my spire. Any push that comes in is going to come into the front, and it's going to put that spire in a lot of jeopardy. Maybe trying to hide it from the SCVs. I mean, maybe this is an AI. Because floating 300, 400, 500, yeah, this has to be an AI. Okay, officially AI versus AI game. Good, good. I didn't want to offend any human. APM way too low for AI, said Nico. I'm not so sure anymore. Ooh, but yeah, he's not floating 800 though. Definitely not floating 900. So it's a person name test? Yeah, idle larva. Mutalisks not really responding to the SCV being there. Yeah, this might be a human. That looks like a very human micro. Yeah. Yeah, that's a human. That's a human messing up that micro, yep. 100%. Alright, it's a human that went for two-hatch Mutalisk. Oh. Oh. Let's go. Doing nicely now. Yeah, the Mutalisk would never just idle like this if it was an AI. So yeah, point well made. Drones being transferred to a somewhat risky base, but two-hatch Mutalisk does give you that strength. And going into fast Hive, actually, I wonder if it's going to go into Defiler or if it's going into Guardian. Because if it's going into Guardian, this could be actually really strong. Guardians are strong against low numbers of units. Seeing the fact that there's only 2 racks, you're going to have a very low number of Marine Medic. That means it's not going to be enough to hold off any amount of Guardians. Starport is coming up, so Wraith is an option, but so are Scourge. Drone is being chased by a probe here. Hydra's Den is up though, so so Lurker Play is an option too. First Goliaths are coming out, no range upgrade on them quite yet. Mutalisks seem like they're finally going to go back and deal with this SCV. I'm not sure if it's even worth it though. I would keep pummeling these SCVs here while I had the opportunity. Vulture is going to potentially become aware of this bottom left base. Mutalisk count is not that great. 6 only. It's very low investment. Is it going into... Wow, Ultra Defiler off of Fast 3 gas. Well, off of 3 gas. 2 gas. um, let's see. Vulture is going to run away from the Mutilisks. How freaking annoying. You weren't looking for 1 second, but 4th base is going to come out of it. In the meantime, there's seems to be some expansion attempts going on here from Krasio, looking to maybe take a 3rd base there at some point in the future. But yeah, still, production facility is very low in count for Krasio, so no matter if it's Ultra Defiler or if it was Guardian, they would have been incredibly hard to deal with for the human player. Yeah, so first Lurkers and Defilers coming out, and this is going to be... It is going to show how strong Defiler play is, because now he can push this with almost with impunity, right in range of the bunker defensively, and more is going to get thrown down. More advancement is going to be allowed from the Lurkers, and they're going to be able to push right into the main base. Not enough irradiates, no mines in place, and this is giving me nightmare flashbacks of what happened to me against against Monster. This creeping Lurker, Defiler, just destructive, brutal. Jeez, yeah, it's rough. So, I mean, to be fair, the human is not dead. The Zerg ran out of things to consume here. Finally gets cleaned up. And there's not much backing this up, actually. Looks like there was a desire to go for Ultras behind this, but just judging from the minerals and gas, it looks like all the APM went into Micro there, and no backup army for the most part was made. These Ultras can't even leave the base at this point, which is definitely problematic. This base has been found is going to get pushed back by Sunkens. There's actually a lot of drones lost here, I think. That must have been the case earlier, at least. And now Mutilisks are trying to pin the Terran in. The Zerglings run into the 3rd base. There's not enough defenses here. Let me take a look at those upgrades real quick. We do have +2 armor and 2 attack already done. Only 1s across the board with 2 armor for the Zerg, but an armor advantage over Terran attack upgrade is going to do a great deal of work for these Ultralisks. Do we have the Ultralisk armor upgrade? I don't see it there. We do see it here, though. These Ultras are going to be amazing, even in conjunction with the Defilers is going to be even more incredible. I tried to move my mouse up to the screen to see, but 1 swarm short maybe of making it there. There is a Defiler still there, not able to consume anything. I think it's because so many Zerglings went down there, and actually the Irradiate took down the Defiler there, and this was a great hold from Krasio yet again. I heard mines being placed. That's going to work out well for them. Some more swarm. Lurkers are trying to be pushed up again. Irradiates coming down in greater number now. There's more vessels. And the Mutilisks are getting distracted, and behind this, a 4th base attempt from Krasio. This is shaping up to be an amazing game, actually. This base is continuously getting harassed. Krasio hasn't caught up in workers, but doesn't really need to off the amount of bases. This is an interesting bunker placement, though. I may prefer it to be somewhere over here. And yeah, I mean, random factory, random starport, somehow Krasio is making it work. Is still behind in supply, which is not where you want to be. There is still a lot of Ultras there, and it looks like more Defilers are being made. But I'm worried for Test because there's no gas bank whatsoever for them. They do have a nice mineral bank, but it seems like maybe not keeping up with the production quite as well. Could definitely be making a lot more Zerglings to support these Ultras and Defilers. The economy is not being utilized properly. I think, although with the absolute lack of defense here, surprisingly from Krasio, this is going to potentially be dangerous for them. Try to swarm on... I like this play. That's nice. But the 3rd base isn't going to go down from this, I think. Although it's hard to say for sure. There's also Zergling pressure trying to come in here. It doesn't seem like Krasio is doing a great job of controlling... excuse me, controlling more bases than 2. The army is not positioned to defend either position all that well. Perhaps not used to being on the back foot at this point in the game, given the amount of army that it has. But still, again, the concern is the production facilities. Only 4 racks off of 3 or 4 bases. Well, not counting the fact that they're all spread out. But that should be a consideration too. And look at Zerg. Back up to an army supply lead is now sending a mix of Ultras and Zerglings that are going to be moving in. And yeah, now this base could actually suffer a significant amount of damage, but this little choke here is proving to be so effective, and nice diagnosis from the human player. Is going to know exactly where to cast those spells. Also casts Plague as well on the Marines and Medics, and that's going to be effective as well in draining the mana of the medics, making them less effective as well at healing, of course, and being forced to heal each other. That's one way to start breaking down a Terran's defenses with multiple waves of Ultra Defiler here. Very nice play from the human player. I mean, the fact that this base is still up is still problematic. This base going down would be a major boon, though, and our human player may also want to start considering taking additional bases soon. I mean, again, the production problems are continuing, but the upgrades are still continuously coming in for the Terran player. Terran player is not making any additional workers, just making an additional army, but look at the production tab for the human player. Just ultra, ultra, ultra. It looks like a very high gas play. I mean, there's still a lot of minerals that could be spent there for the human player. The economy has been stronger than Krazios for quite some time, and unfortunately is not going to be able to push too far in here. There's only one lurker there, it seems. It is going to be very annoying for the AI to deal with, and more Defilers and Lings now coming in, and is going to consume some Zerglings, continue pushing with Dark Swarm, one of the most powerful abilities in Brood War without a doubt, the great equalizer in TVZ, and this is just, yeah, this is a great game to watch. Definitely the humans should start being concerned about where Krazio is allowed to expand to, but now running in with Mutalisks, there's not a lot of anti-air here, but there's also not a lot of Mutalisks. Maybe the Guardian switch is something that should be considered, but because of the constantly low number of gas, I really feel like more Zergling support, maybe even Hydra support, would have been very helpful in this situation. Vulture being annoying, pointing out the fact that there's not enough maybe Hydralisks in the mix to deal with some of the ranged units, to provide maybe a more substantial body mass than the Zerglings for dealing damage to bases. But in this case, I think it's not going to matter. This 12 o'clock is bound to fall surely, and the Ultras and Zerglings take it all down. Defiler showing up. Will it cast the Dark Swarm? Yes, indeed. Maybe a little bit too aggressively, but no, this Ultra is going to get in there and is going to start taking down these Marines and Medics. This base can't stand, can it? The Defiler gets sniped by Krazio. Jeez, base is saved. That must be annoying. And the Terran is now up to 5 bases. Like, what is this game? Now, finally, Zergling production is starting to look more like what I would expect. Mineral count finally starting to go down, but that could be also due to, I don't know, there's not a significant amount of spreading of the economy, most likely. Maybe there's like 30 drones here or something, I don't know. There's definitely an oversaturation over here. Definitely needs to start thinking about taking this base now, because Krasio is still holding on. I don't know how, but Krasio is holding on, despite the fact that there's like no defense at any of these bases. This base particularly woefully so. Should not be able to allow it to stand, and actually a flank coming in at the same time from Test. How will Krasio react? Krasio pulls some army back and is being so annoying. Just that few seconds of idle time from Test costed so many Zerglings and so much earlier of an irradiate time. Irradiate on so many Ultras, and even if the Ultras break through, they're all doomed to die. And wow, Krasio with the hold yet again. What a freaking game, huh? Wow. Still holding on to that base. How is he holding on to that base? Is there Marines in here? No, it doesn't seem like it. No, there's not. It's just, there's nothing there. It's just going to be mass Zerglings inside your economy. I mean, Krasio is more broke than Test. We should obviously note that. But these armies are starting to look scary. And although, but the only one actually losing ground is Krasio. And Test is now spamming those Zerglings. He is done playing the finesse game. He's not trying to use the Defiler Ultra combination. And I think a mix of all these strategies could have been the move here. But he's going to, Krasio's going to hold this off again. I feel it. This base has gone down, in fairness. But, I mean, yeah, the economy for Test, it's decent. It's definitely better than Krasio's at the moment, but I don't know. I feel like Krasio still has a chance here. Oh, but maybe not with the falling of this base, actually. This base falling would be actually traumatic, because there's a lot of workers here. Yeah, a lot are going to go down. This sneaky bunker placement is actually paying off somehow. A lot of Zerglings are going down. I wonder if the human's going to give up. I would feel kind of demoralized. This base is mining out. This base is very low. This base is okay. There's no way Krasio gives up here, right? Krasio, oh my goodness. Krasio is massive. 84 army to 7.5. It looks like Test just dropped the ball on production, or maybe the oversaturation on this base hit his economy too hard. I swear if he had 8 of those drones here and here, he would have been way better off. But last final ditch effort with Mutalisks, is it going to pay off? No, there's a significant number of anti-air here. Krasio's going to do this? Oh my god, the human gives up. What a game. That was great. What can I say? Very, very well done by both the human player and Krasio. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this broadcast. This has been Chobo Swaggins, aka Jealous from Team Liquid. Be sure to tune in next week when Nightcat will be doing the SSCAIT report. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, wonderful week. Stay healthy and stay happy. Take care, everyone.